When Betsy, a quiet anchor in her family, discovers that her younger sister has stolen the $15,000 their parents scraped together for tuition, the family must choose between enabling and accountability, and only painful consequences reveal who the sisters really are. 2. Summary. Expanded. Betsy is a self-reliant young woman who still lives at home and understands the price of money. Her family sold treasured belongings to raise $15,000 for their younger sister Christina's college fees. Christina, spoiled and manipulated by a gambling boyfriend, steals the cash and squanders part of it, then lies. The theft destroys family trust, forcing Christina into a gap year and a job. Through work and isolation she matures, breaks with her toxic partner, and earns back a fragile trust. Betsy moves out soon after, partly to heal and partly to build independence, and the family rebuilds boundaries and better habits. 3. Narrative structure setup/exposition. Introduce family dynamics, financial pressure, and the symbolic country house sale that produces the $15,000. Inciting incident. Christina takes the money, Betsy discovers the theft. Confrontation. The family confrontation reveals Christina's lies and the reality of her decisions, the $10,000 sent to her boyfriend. Crisis/decision. Parents punish Christina with a gap year and revoke funding. Christina is forced to face the consequences. Midpoint shift. Christina experiences real hardship and humiliation away from privilege. Her loyalty to the boyfriend cracks. Climax. Christina severs ties with Derek, chooses work over entitlement, and returns changed. Betsy tests whether to forgive. Resolution. Family implements tangible consequences, locked savings account, mandatory savings deposits. Betsy finds independence, family is altered but hopeful. 4. Emotional hooks and moments that land. The physical discovery of the empty envelope, shock, silence. The phone call where Christina casually mentions sending $10,000, revelation delivered with chilling normalcy. Dad's judicial calm when delivering the gap year verdict, weighted authority. Christina begging at midnight, raw vulnerability contrasted with prior entitlement. Christina returning defeated and working hard, slow, believable evolution. The final porch scene by the river, quiet reconciliation and earned maturity. 5. Why this will spread/relatability/virality. Universal sibling jealousy plus money drama equals high engagement. Short form friendly, strong single emotional beat, betrayal justice growth, works well as a reel. Moral clarity combined with redemption satisfies audiences who like catharsis and realism. Themes of privilege, adulting, and responsibility resonate strongly with 18 to 35 demographic. 6. Weaknesses and risks in original. Too much telling, insufficient cinematic showing. Betsy's internal conflict underexplored. She remains mostly a moral monolith rather than a character who struggles. Christina's motivation is sketched but could be deeper. Insecurities, search for validation. Pacing. The transition from theft to redemption is somewhat fast and tidy, risk of feeling moralistic. 7. Concrete improvements applied in the rewrite. Show, don't tell, scenes opened visually, envelope on dresser, sunlight on dust in country house, rather than through exposition. Subtext-driven dialogue, people say less, feel more, actions reveal backstory. Betsy's arc expanded, she wrestles with whether to call police, whether to forgive, shows not tells. Christina's interiority, added moments of fear, seduction by Derek's promises, and later shame that feel earned. Symbolic imagery, the country house, envelope, river, and a flip phone act as motifs for value, loss, and rebirth. Pacing tuned, midpoint twist is stronger, and the climb to the climax is deliberately slow to show real change. Ending, not saccharine, it's honest and quietly hopeful, with an emotional echo that resonates after the final line. 8. Target audience and platforms. Primary, 18 to 35, viewers of emotional family drama reels, short film festivals, and streaming short-form content. Platforms, TikTok/YouTube Shorts, capsules of scenes, Instagram Reels, key beats, short film circuits, and YouTube full short. Tone matches creators who enjoy tearjerker domestic realism, think emotionally driven microdramas. Section 1, New Story Beginning, Introduce Characters and Atmosphere. The house smells like old tea and paint, familiar, comfortable, like a second skin. Morning light slants through the kitchen blinds in thin gold bars. A radio hums quietly, a calendar on the fridge lists small things: dentist, lawn mower, call plumber. Betsy moves through all of it with an economy of motion. The camera follows the soles of her shoes across scuffed floorboards, the fold of her jacket, the way she rinses her travel mug, small, steady rituals. She is 30 minutes late for everything she loves to be on time for. Her voice exists in practical words and private lists. At the edge of the frame, a battered cardboard box sits like a secret monument. Betsy traces a finger over the box as she passes. Her father had promised months of weekend yard sales, a dozen catalog listings, the slow dismantling of a lifetime of things at the old country house, and finally a resolve to sell what they no longer used. The box, heavy with bills folded and refolded around receipts and slips of paper, carries a weight you can feel in the room. For the family, it is not an abstract number. It is the sound of long shifts, overtime, the boat's engine humming on a fishing morning, the spare lamp in a cold winter. For Betsy, who learned to carry bills and bus tickets and wages in a battered wallet while in school, it contains more than money. It contains trust. Christina bursts through the front door the way teenagers do in films, bright, breathless, a new phone lighting her face, laughter tucked like a neon accessory. She wears the look of someone who purchases charm instead of earning it. Betsy watches her from the kitchen threshold, the camera staying close to the small tension in her jaw. Their parents are not home yet, they are late from work, heads bowed under real worry. They left instructions, the envelope goes directly to the bank. Betsy repeats the instruction twice, like a rosary. At a desk under a window, Betsy opens her top drawer, an altar of college pamphlets, a faded planner, a pencil with dining hall glaze. She tucks the envelope under loose notebooks and closes the drawer with the gentleness of someone who tucks in a child. The sound is soft, ordinary, and it settles into the house. For a few moments everything is still. The scene lingers on Betsy's face. There is pride and fatigue braided together, a patient person who learned early how to measure risk. Christina's phone sings an incoming message across the living room. The laugh that answers it slices the quiet. She's a world away and in the same hallway, her voice bright and careless. Betsy's eyes meet the empty kitchen chair, feel the presence of parents coming home with the money packed and ready, the family's plan almost absurd in how fragile it looks. She straightens, smoothing the surface of the counter the way you smooth the knot in a tie. The camera pulls back to take in the house, warm, lived in, honest, and the small, dangerous pulse that will soon ripple through it. In the next breath Christina moves like a comet, patiently unaware of or deliberately indifferent to the gravity around her. Betsy watches her, a full man-made planet, waiting. Section 2, Build-up, deepens tension and character complexity. The house breathes differently the afternoon after the sale, furniture gone, the old fishing boat's absence a physical hollow near the driveway. Dad's boots still carry sawdust. Mom hums an off-key song as she stacks boxes in the pantry. They have made the choice, the money is ready, folded into a thick envelope labeled in black Sharpie with a single line, Christina, tuition. The family has rehearsed this moment in whispered evenings and tight smiles. To Betsy it is a closing of a loop. To Christina, it is an invisible entitlement. At work, Betsy's day is geometry and moderation, insurance claims, cold coffee, the steady beat of a dependable life. Her colleagues type their polite jokes, her boss nods and pushes deadlines like traffic cones. Betsy keeps glancing at the clock, a private computation of minutes until she can be the courier between the plastic fluorescent light of the office and the humidity of the kitchen. She does not want to be the one whose stories claim as heroic. She is simply the adult who keeps continuity. The envelope is more than money, it is a contract of faith between generations. She repeats the logistics to herself as if practicing a speech, and in that rhythm there's comfort. Christina returns with a carrier bag that rustles like something newly acquired. Her grin is a practiced photograph. She urges her mother to look at a video, a dance, a sale, a flashy influencer's neon aesthetic, and the family laughs in ways that thinly veil exhaustion. But there is a small movement in Christina that goes unnoticed. She lingers near Betsy's closed bedroom door, listening for a key. The audience sees it, curiosity or intent, a hand hovering over a doorknob like a thought about to be acted upon. Betsy's drawer is quiet, a repository of small memories, a concert ticket, a scholarship letter's photocopy, the dented key to a once-lived apartment. She slides her phone into the drawer beside the envelope when work stretches longer, trusting the drawer and the timetable. The house settles. The parents leave for an evening shift at the hospital and the construction site. They murmur, "Lock it up." The murmur becomes part of the soundtrack of the home, a prayer against slippage. Cut to Christina's room, a collage of wants taped to the wall, a map of places she hasn't earned but imagines. Her phone glares with an incoming video call. Derek's face fills the square screen, slick, confessional, and practiced at suggestion. "He needs help," he says, "you can make this right today." His words are parasitic in their intimacy. Christina watches a clip of a friend with new shoes and a hand that opens a door with the weight of currency. She imagines herself in that frame, admired, desired. The script in her head erases consequences. At the diner that night, Betsy imagines figures of balance. She pays for a coworker's coffee without complaint, then goes home thinking of deposit slips. The camera lingers on the envelope again, in the dark like a promise, and then on Christina backlit in her room, hands trembling with the magnitude of a sudden, intoxicating opportunity. In the silence between them, urgency grows. Section 3, Midpoint Twist, Major Turn/Inner Conflict. The drawer opens and the envelope is gone. The camera doesn't rush, it lets the pieces fall in slow motion, loose sheets rustle, plastic bookmarks whisper. Betsy's fingers stutter over paper and space. The empty wood is louder than any shouted line. She freezes, the room's air changes temperature, then moves in a loop until the answer is obvious. Her pulse is a metronome in the silence. She heads down the hallway with the kind of intuition that means everything inside is collapsing. Christina is in the living room, practicing angles in the TV's reflective glass like someone rehearsing a new identity. When Betsy confronts her, it begins like a question and turns jagged. Christina's first reaction is surprise, then detachment, then a laugh so brittle it breaks. "I was borrowing a charger," she says, eyes unfixed, an old defense that cracks fast under urgency. Betsy's voice is small and then rises like a tide. The accusation hangs in the warm light, "You took $15,000. Christina's phone lights up. She answers in a syrup of casualness that makes Betsy's skin crawl. The man on the line speaks in numbers, $10,000 today, done, and she smiles, as if payroll has deposited a miracle. That smile is the pivot. The camera tightens on Betsy's face as the reality sets in. She calls for the parents with a voice that trembles on its edge. The scene turns domestic and legal at once, receipts, store bags, a leather jacket too large for the economy it sprang from. Dad comes home, the day's dust still on his neck, and sees not a crime scene but a moral crossroad. The house convulses into lines of questioning. Christina backpedals, then fabricates, then splinters into fragments of confession. The family's careful economy unravels with each halting explanation. Betsy feels something unfamiliar, not only anger but relief that the secret can no longer be shaped back into denial. The parents step into a rhythm of authority. Dad's voice becomes flat and decisive, Mom's eyes fill with hurt that turns into a brittle clarity. "We cannot keep bailing you out." Midpoint, Christina breaks in a different way. She admits the truth. Her reasons tumble out: Derek's debts, a promise to fix everything, a rush to belong. She is not merely greedy. She has been sold an idea that love equals financial sacrifice. The parents' faces register betrayal that is not abstract. It is composed of long nights, overtime pay, and the hole left where the boat used to be. Betsy thinks of the nights she worked double shifts to keep herself afloat. The difference between the sisters becomes a newly visible chasm. As night folds into an uneasy quiet, Christina flees to her room. The family decides on action, no calls to relatives, not yet. They weigh consequences like scales. Betsy sits on the porch steps, the envelope gone and with it the easy assumption of stability. The river beyond the yard catches moonlight and keeps moving. Betsy's gaze fixes on that motion as if it suggests a possible future. Things can be taken, but water keeps moving, eroding, and remaking a path. Section 4, Build TO Climax, Rising Stakes. The morning after the confession is small in ritual and large in verdict. Breakfast is served in heavy silence. Dad's hands are steady around a ceramic mug as if holding his temper like a child's hand crosses a street, firm and guiding. His words come like measured tools. Christina will take a gap year. She will work. There will be no more money until she earns it. The house exhales a quiet of disappointed steel. Betrayal becomes consequence. Christina's departure is theatrical at first, packed bags, slammed doors, declarations of exile. But the theatrics are replaced quickly by the thud of reality, job applications, waiting tables, burned hands at a grill, the small indignities of entry-level work. Each shift is a ledger entry in an education she never chose but cannot avoid. The camera holds on sweaty forearms and tired feet. Her first paycheck is small, embarrassingly small. She hands it over to Dad with a clarity she had previously lacked. The parents, cautious and pragmatic, deposit the money into a new account with a key, a physical tether ensuring accountability. Meanwhile, Betsy moves forward with an almost unnoticed decision. She signs the lease for a small one-bedroom apartment not out of revenge or escape but by the slow realization that home can be a place of care and a place of depletion. Her packing is calm and methodical, an archive of things that mattered. Leaving is not triumphant, it is an acceptance that some repairs require distance. Christina's days become a montage of elemental work, stamping coffee cups, chopping lettuce, learning to say I'm sorry without theater. The viewers see the first real change in the smallness of how she buys things, a store-brand coupon redeemed with the fierce pride of someone who finally knows a dollar's worth. There is humiliation and there is dignity. Her relationship with Derek frays as he demands more and honors less. He berates and cajoles, calling her selfish when she hesitates. Each refusal is a small contraction of fear in her chest until one night it snaps. The midpoint's aftershocks come when Derek, more menacing in the dark, accuses her of betrayal for not sending money. His voice is raw, the magic of romance evaporating to reveal manipulation. Christina looks at her hands as if they belong to a stranger. She realizes that the financial exchange between them was never mutual. It was a loan to a man who would never repay love. The confrontation is not cinematic fireworks but a close, intimate collapse, no dramatic shouting, just small cruel comments that strip glory from the relationship. She leaves him in a hallway of fluorescent lights, clutching a pay stub like a talisman. At the kitchen table, Betsy hears the things parents rarely say aloud. Her mother confesses that she had always tried to keep the peace with Christina because she was afraid of losing her. Dad says simply, I wanted her to have what we didn't. Betsy listens, and in the listening there is sorrow and understanding. The family decides to open a locked account for Christina's wages. She must hand over earnings to be placed in a savings box the parents control for a fixed period. The arrangement is less punitive than pedagogical, a slow rebuilding of trust, with rules like scaffolding. Section 5, a climax, emotional high point. The moment of true reckoning arrives in a small, ordinary place, the restaurant where Christina works an overtime shift. It is late and fluorescent, the kind of light that reveals every tiredness. She carries a tray with a tremor, balancing plates like a tightrope walker who is learning not to fall. A table of regulars jokes about student loans, and Christina laughs hollowly and slides in refills. Derek appears at the door like a shadow from a past exhibit, drunk on entitlement and furious at her changed attitude. He slams his palm on the hostess stand, demands his money, and starts to humiliate her in front of coworkers. For once, Christina does not fold. The path of her anger is private, but it is real. She steps away and returns with a small, quiet voice. She tells Derek she isn't his bank. He moves to grab her arm. She curls inward like someone bracing for a hit. A coworker, a rough man with a soft sense for wrong, steps between them. Others watch. The tension is close, compressed. Derek spits a line about love and money that would have once sent Christina into panicked obedience. This time she meets the words without flinching. She says, "No, it is small and thunderous." Derek leaves with a huff and a curse. The air remains thick with aftershocks. Christina leans against the prep counter and weeps, not for Derek's leave but for the slow recognition of what she stole not only in cash but in trust and in time. She whispers to no one, "I'm sorry," and the word is not performative. Betsy, who had come to the restaurant to return a sweater Christina had left behind months ago, stands at the doorway. She watches, heart in her throat, as the sibling she knew and did not know collapses with acceptable dignity. The climax is not a courtroom or a confrontation with raised voices. It is a collision of honesty and consequence, where the person in the wrong finally does the work of being wrong. Betsy crosses the floor in a hesitation of steps that speak of fear and forgiveness. She sits on a stool beside Christina. They exchange nothing juicy, no grand apologies, no tearful determinations, only 2 minutes of presence. Betsy hands Christina an envelope. It is not 15,000, it is 500 tucked inside a birthday card. She gives nothing her parents would not approve of but something that says, "I see you trying." Christina looks at the smallness of the gift and then at Betsy. She is ashamed and grateful. Their hands touch briefly, awkward and human. At that touch, something that had been brittle inside both of them cracks open and a different kind of light enters, not the incandescent heat of indulgence but the cooler, steadier light of earned warmth. Section 6 Ending, Emotional Close/Echo. Summer slides into the attic of the year and the country house sits quieter now, fixed up, painted, a place that no longer stores memory in dust. The family arrives for a weekend together, not a celebration but a working truce. The river glints in the distance like something honest and indifferent to human drama. They carry old chairs to be painted, boxes of nails, and a radio that hums an old song. Christina moves differently. Her hands, once manicured by convenience, are calloused in a way that looks like ownership. She wears simple clothes her parents helped her choose. The flip phone lives in her back pocket as a practical relic. She sits on the porch steps with Betsy as the sun collapses into the river. They talk like people learning the grammar of a new language. Christina describes waiting tables, the sting of a tough shift, the strange dignity of a job that demands you show up even when you're tired. Betsy admits that moving out felt less like abandonment and more like learning the shape of her own life. Dad comes and goes with a new ease. Mom, who once smoothed every bruise with money or excuse, now sips tea and stitches quietly. At dinner they talk about budgets and plans, about how to teach responsibility without cruelty. The word trust returns frequently, careful as a raw coin. They set new boundaries, a savings account with a 12-month hold, mandatory weekly deposits from Christina's earnings, and regular family meetings where money is not taboo. The story doesn't tie itself in a perfect bow. Christina still makes mistakes. She forgets to call once, and her mother's voice hardens in a way that suggests that repair is ongoing. Yet the hearts in the house move differently. Betsy passes a stack of mail to her sister with a small joke about overdue library fines. Christina laughs, and the sound is not the practiced currency of the past. Months later, the family opens the locked account for Christina for the first time. There's no dramatic reveal, only a small envelope slid from Dad's hand to Christina's. She stares at the numbers and then at her parents. She chooses college again, this time paying her first semester in part with her own earned money and her family's matched contribution. She looks at Betsy and mouths thank you. Betsy nods, not triumphant but relieved. On the last night, Betsy stands alone at the river's edge. The water is patient, it will not judge or excuse. It only moves. She opens her phone and drafts a message she never sends. Thank you for making me believe in the possible. She tucks the phone back into her pocket and watches the river carry away the evening. It is not an ending of perfection, there are scars, a cautious optimism, a family slightly rearranged, but it is quiet and true. The camera pulls up and away, the house a little light in the dark, the river a thread leading onward. The last frame holds the porch where two sisters sit with a distance settled between them that is no longer hostile. It is room for what comes next.